for the warm welcome. The warm welcome to IACC, which we really appreciate. Satya and I are thrilled to be here. I'd like to take a moment to just set the stage for our talk today. We are talking about navigating landing and growing in the United States. And the idea is that the information that we provide will encourage companies to take the first step in their expansion journey to the US with the knowledge that we are here to support. I'm a new member at IACC and have already received a lot of notes of warm congratulations and welcome to the chapter. It's a pleasure to be here. But I have to add that IACC is not a new organization for me. I have worked with the organization and different chapters in my previous role, and I'll get into that in a little bit. And I've known Shikha also now for a few years. So thank you, Shikha, for everything that you do for the chapter and for members. I'm going to take a quick moment to pull up my presentation that I've prepared for this session. But please note that the idea, at least from my end, is for this to be a very interactive presentation. And I encourage you to ask questions or put your questions in the chat box, and Shikha will be coordinating at the end. But please put your questions up as they occur to you so that we don't forget. Our session today is on US market entry, and it is a strategic briefing because that's something that we firmly believe in, that when you make a big decision like expanding to the United States, the strategy and the planning for that needs to be done in advance to reduce the chances of making mistakes or having delays or, being in a jam as to how to move forward. So the idea here is to provide you with practical insights that will help you navigate landing in the US, growing in the US, and long-term success in the US, because that requires a lot of planning. And I'm very pleased to have with me for this presentation Satya Yerva from FinStack. And of course, he's going to talk a little bit about himself in just a minute. But the idea here was when you look at strategy, you're also thinking about implementation. And a lot of thoughts that come to your mind in terms of how should I set up, what should I do, are answered by professionals like Satya, as well as the team from ICICI Bank. When you talk about hands-on work and operational decisions that need to be taken in incorporating your company, in opening a bank account, and making a transfer, what we are trying to do here is provide a comprehensive session that addresses both of those needs that businesses expanding might have. I would like to start by introducing my company, Just Be Global. We have a motto of simplifying international expansion. That's what we do. Just Be Global, where I am partner, was established in India in 2024. I have a consulting business in the United States as well called Be Global Consulting, which was established in 2023. A little bit of background on myself. Prior to starting my consulting business, I was working with one of the local governments here in the DC area in Fairfax County, specifically with their Economic Development Authority. And my job was to support business expansion from India to the US. So I'm very comfortable in this space. I've been doing this now for the last 8 years, and I've worked with hundreds of companies to address their most pressing needs and questions when it comes to business expansion. My consulting business was started with the intent of continuing the good work at Fairfax County and extending my reach to provide boots on the ground support, hands-on support, strategic and landing support to companies that are interested in expanding to the US, but also to help US companies looking towards India as a market. What Just Be Global was established to do was to strengthen the relationships between, to start with, the US, India, and Japan corridor. I have an India partner who's based in Gurgaon, and she and I would like to apply our expertise in these three markets and support companies. But really, internationalizing is not just about these three countries, and we are happy to support wherever we can if we are able to do that. For companies looking at the United States, we provide site selection services, helping you decide where you should be in a large country like the US. And on the flip side, we also support economic development organizations in attracting foreign direct investment. We are big proponents of soft landing programs, and we firmly believe in making business connections for success. We support trade missions. We help with go to market strategy, branding, and localization strategies for international market entry. So that's about Just Be Global and me. And Satya, would you like to take a quick moment to give everyone a foundational introduction to you and FinStack, please?
Yeah, sure, Juhi. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sika and Mr. Prabhakar Rao for a kind introduction. Everyone, I'm Satya Yerwa, CA from India and CPA here in US. I run FinStack. FinStack is a accounting services company where we do assist businesses with incorporation in US, and after that taking care of their books, taxes, and payroll and any other matters that you want us to handle. So, so with that introduction, as Juhi is going to present the slides, so wherever there is a need for my inputs with regard to entity and corporation taxes, so I will step in. And of course, please feel free to post your questions. Happy to clarify your questions there. Thank you.
Thanks, Satya. And I just wanted to point out that one thing that Satya and I have in common is that our companies have a presence both in the United States and in India. Satya and I are not very far from each other right now in the DC area, but he also has a team in Hyderabad, actually. And my Just Be Global team is based in Delhi. Two of my team members are on the call right now, along with my partner. My partner is traveling, and Ruchi is trying her best to connect in a poor network somewhere in an airport. And my team members, Aditi Singh and Jyoti Sethi, are on this webinar as attendees, and they've been a tremendous support to me and to Just Be Global. The reason I wanted to point out our presence in both markets is that uh, it brings a unique understanding of having worked and provided services both in India and the United States. So when you engage with us, you can engage with somebody who understands, what your needs are, where the gaps in the market are, and what your priorities are. Because when we talk about businesses and expanding businesses across markets, we also have to consider business culture and norms. And that's part of what expansion is about as well. So moving forward, we know that companies today are not restricted to physical borders. They're going international. Some companies also like to call themselves born global because when they start, they want to be known as a global company from the get-go. Being global takes a certain kind of mindset as well. It's not just about having the ability to expand. It's also about having the patience, the wherewithal, and the resources that you need to expand successfully. But certainly, there are many reasons that companies like to go global. There is specifically for Indian companies looking at the United States. I know many of you, given the nature of the chamber, might already have customers in the US. If you don't yet have a presence in the US, having a presence immediately puts a boost to your bottom line. You get a new source of revenue, and you definitely have the potential to increase your profit margin, something that's harder to do when you're working from India. Certainly, internationalizing gives you access to new capital as well, the ability to make new partnerships through networking, to get plugged into business ecosystems that might increase both your knowledge, education, as well as your reach. And by diversifying the markets where you sell your goods and services, you're doing a certain amount of risk mitigation. So, all positive points, all check boxes. So, if you're not thinking of internationalization yet, you should be. Let's talk a little bit about the US economy and the opportunity that exists in the United States market. The US is a $28 trillion economy. It is the largest consumer economy in the world. And I know a lot of this is not information that's new to you, but sometimes it's important to get a reminder and to reiterate how big of a potential the market offers. There are a number of trending industries in the US today. Technology has always been a soft spot for the United States, but lately, advanced manufacturing, life sciences, clean technologies, semiconductors, these are also areas where the US shows a lot of opportunity and market potential. The additional attraction or appeal of the United States is the presence of already established ecosystems. And just to clarify how I define an ecosystem, it's not just a network of partners or customers, it's also a network of physical and digital infrastructure availability, access to markets, and um, support of academia and government and nonprofit institutions as well. That is really what uh, um, an ecosystem implies, and that is where businesses thrive. They depend on one another for success, and they are fed by one another to succeed. So that's what I will say about the US market. I'm going to take a pause here. We know the market opportunity, but maybe I can call on Satya to talk a little bit about trends that he's seeing from perhaps his clients and within his industry in an increasing or decreasing interest in the US market. Anything you want to share, Satya?
Yeah, certainly, Juhi. So, interesting times now, um, especially with the new administration, both services as well as product or manufacturing industry as well. So, services we see, as far as trend is concerned, not much impacted as of now. There are no additional taxes, nothing. But because of the AI, certainly it's impacting the services industry, especially in the tech industry. And with respect to manufacturing, yeah, tariffs is has a big impact, and hope that will go soon. If at all, if tariffs get reduced, then again it will pick it up. But as far as business is concerned, bit slowed down. But at the end of the day, America is $30 trillion economy. So if at all, if you have a right plan in mind, certainly we can have a piece of this economy. So I am positive about it. We'll see.
Thank you for bringing that up, Satya. And it's a very important point that you made that because of some uncertainties and the conditions that we see today, it makes it even more imperative to plan before you take the leap. And that's
Yes.
kind of what we like to provide here as consultants, both Satya and I. It is to structure your business for success. And maybe what I come back to you when if you come for a consultation is perhaps wait a little bit. This may not be the right time. So it's about getting that expert opinion based on trends and opportunities. I see the current situation a little bit from a different lens. I see that some people might think that it's a bit of a deterrent to have tariffs, but other people who are quick to pivot are already thinking of how they can hedge their risk and are already thinking of how they can start maybe a smaller operation in the United States that's not super capital intensive, but provides them with the opportunity of having a legal presence in the country, which comes with its own benefits. So I'm getting queries from people who are trading in all kinds of products from IT services to nutraceuticals. And they're trying to figure out a way to engage with the US and to actually have a presence where they were exporting before. So that's also a trend that is being seen. And ultimately, it is the business that has to make a decision for themselves, whether it's the right time or not, whether they have the resources or not. What Satya and I can do is provide you with the information that you need to make that decision. So, moving forward, when you're looking at market entry, here are some of the considerations that every business should have before they, like I said, take the leap. Certainly secure your budget and funding. It's important to find ways to fund your expansion, knowing fully well that you will have a period of time where it will be more investment heavy and the returns will be yet to come. If the business is able to sustain that for 8 to 12 months, I would say it's a good time to think about expanding. Researching the market, I cannot emphasize enough the importance of planning before you do. And what that means is getting numbers of total accessible market, getting numbers on what's trending, where the gaps are, and whether you're able to fulfill those gaps. And fulfilling those gaps is not as easy as plugging in your solution. Oftentimes, your solution has to be localized to the market where you're going. I've seen so many times companies that are very successful in their home markets, but when they expand, the product doesn't receive as much welcome as they had expected or anticipated, where they see the need, but the product is not localized for the market. So that's very important. Seeing the existing availability of not just clients, but partners that you can collaborate with, having access to talented and skilled workforce, having the ability to call one place your home, but that place gives you access to wherever the market might call you, right? Those are things that one needs to consider. And of course, I'm a big proponent of intercultural awareness and sensitivity. Business culture is a huge point that companies often ignore, and I think it's extremely important for success for companies to realize how business culture varies across countries and how that might impact transactions. Following all of this, and I'm going to give the floor to you, Satya, for a little bit, there are operational considerations that you have as a company. And they go not just from structuring your entity, but they go on to how do I maintain my operations. So, with that, I'm going to pass on to the expert. Satya, if you can just talk a little bit about some incorporation considerations and then some winning entity structures that you have seen in your experience, and then you can take it forward to taxes and accounting.
So with respect to incorporation of the entity, anyone decides to incorporate in US, certainly there are some factors that you need to consider. One is the entity structure. What kind of entity structure that you need to have? Usually in for any business coming from India and US, there are three kind of possibilities. US entity can be the holding company, and our India entity can be the holding company with the other entity being the subsidiary, or having the entities as a separate entities altogether. So this is all again depending on the requirements, specific requirements of the business. There is no fixed rule or criteria to decide on what kind of structure that one need to follow. It all depending on the specific requirements of each business. If someone has entire base in India and wanted to set up shop in US just for the sake of customers, acquiring customer, then having US as a India as a holding company and US as a subsidiary company is the ideal recommended structure. Or someone wanted to move to US altogether, have some investments, funding here, or have some exit plan from here, then switching the holding company to US entity is recommended. Or not yet decided, don't want to link two entities, then having separate entities altogether is another option. So any specific questions we will address separately, but these are the three possibilities that one can consider. That is with regard to the structuring. And once it is decided, and once someone wanted to incorporate entity in US, then again the next thing that needs to be decided is what kind of entity that you need to incorporate. There are multiple jargons you must be reading in the news. There are a lot of uh, entity types: S corp, C corp, LLC, partnerships, and all. But again, deciding on the type is another critical decision-making factor. So usually in US, states administer the entity incorporation. It's not at a federal level, unlike in India. Each state has its own regulations. You need to incorporate the entity at the state level. And once state is chosen, then what kind of entity? At a very, very broad level, there is two kind of entity for the incorporation. It's incorporation, INC, and LLC, limited liability company. For tax purposes, we have different structure. It's S corp, C corp, single member, partnerships, and all. So that is only from a tax point of view. As far as entity point of view is concerned, it is a limited liability company and corporation. For founders or companies starting from India, it's always INC with the C corporation for tax classification is kind of a recommended. There is no other option. So that is for the entity type. And other important factor where Juhi mentioned. So when you do market research and when you wanted to set up shop in the US, so first other thing that you need to decide on the location where you wanted to start the operation. It could be California, Texas, Virginia, New York, New Jersey, depending on the business nature, depending on where you are planning to have your employees in future, where you are planning to have your office location in future. It depends on that. But if you decide an office location, then you can directly incorporate in the state where you are planning to have office location or where you're planning to have employees. If at all that is not decided, then you can go with any state. It doesn't matter. People say Delaware, but Delaware is more flexible because of the flexibility in the law, legal aspects, not from the tax or any other complaints related. So you can decide any location which is convenient for you and which offers good benefits. Like Juhi worked with Loudoun County of Virginia, so there are some grants benefits that are available. She'll explain better. So any location that you think it is a best fit for your business is you can decide on that, and we can incorporate in that state. So these are at a very, very broad level about the structuring of the entity and incorporating the entity. And yeah, of course, once you incorporate the entity, once you are already start the operations, then there are other things that comes into picture. The taxes, certainly different kind of taxes. It's income tax, sales tax, city, county level taxes also applicable. Then the moment that you start hiring employees, then payroll related matters, onboarding of the employees in compliance with the Department of Labor regulations, and then payroll processing and other compliances that we need to take care. And as your operations progress, then certain more compliances also will come into picture. So we can discuss that based on the specific requirement, but this is at an overall level. Joy, I think I can stop it there. This is a very wide topic. We can
Yeah.
go on for 1 hour, but so this is a very, very broadly, this is what the conceptual understanding is.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing all of those points, because one of the things that this brings back to is the budget and funding. If you ask Satya how much will it take to incorporate my company, it's going to be less than $1,000. But how
Around
much does it
1,000.
take? Yeah, how much does it take to run the company? Again, good question, but it varies depending on what the company is, what the structure is, what your needs are, and most importantly, what compliances you need to meet. And as Satya said, this is where the professionals like him come into the picture. The United States is a very regulation heavy, complex society. As Satya mentioned, there are regulations at three levels. There's a federal or central level. but then there's the state level, and then there's the county and city level as well. So navigating through those regulations, if the company got busy doing that, they would have very little time to focus on what they know what to do, which is make a fantastic product and sell it. And so that's where people like Satya come into the picture. I mean, he makes it sound easy, but it's actually a very complex issue, and it varies by companies. And so having that conversation with whomever you choose to do your accounting and incorporation, and knowing that they have that um, tax knowledge and legal and compliance related background is extremely important. So, in terms of taxes and accounting, Satya has kind of given you an overview. The the nice thing about the US is everything is written down. As long as you follow the instruction, you won't have an issue. But the instructions are 200 pages long. So that's where you need someone to break it down for you. Satya, would you like to touch upon the last point, which is cross-border entities? I know you talked about the options that one has, setting it up as a subsidiary or as an independent entity. But what about transacting between these entities?
Yeah. So any transaction between the countries, US and India or any other country, so we need to follow certain transfer pricing regulations, especially when each country has certain kind of a transactions by providing services or having customers. So transfer pricing agreement is the important thing based on which your revenues and expenses has to be recognized within the entities, and both countries it is mandatory from India side as well as USA. And when you do the transactions, certainly arm's length price is one thing that we need to consider. That is for the transaction related. And other than transaction, there are certain other aspects like some of the companies, let us say you have a company in India and you have employees in US and you wanted to issue stock options to the employees in US, or you have a company in US and you have employee US holding company, but you have employees in India. Then you wanted to give stock options of US company to the India employees. Then this is another important thing that we need to consider, both countries regulations as far as stock options are concerned, and we need to be compliant with it. These are the major things, Julie, transactions and stock options. Others, depending on the different kind of business that you are into, and specific industry related compliances that comes into picture when you have cross-border transactions.
Absolutely. No, that's the overview that I just wanted. And so that's really helpful for everybody in the audience, including myself. So moving on to what Satya was saying, you hear the word Delaware a lot. And Delaware is a state that makes it easy for companies to incorporate, I will say. Delaware's rules and regulations ease the legalization of entities in the United States. However, Delaware will rarely be the place you do business. And as a US entity, it's not just about incorporating, it's where are you going to set up your base? And that is a location consideration. And that can vary. And it's based on several factors, some of which are listed here. I will, this is what I mean when I say site selection and the support that Just Be Global provides to companies. It is a very natural reaction to follow your customer. And you may think that the best location for me is where my customers are. But that is perhaps a short term thinking. For the long term, your customers can and should be nationwide and international. They should be worldwide, right? So it really matters that you pick your location not just based on whether my customers are here, but can I access my customers physically from my home base? What is the taxation situation? Since I mentioned, or Satya mentioned, that it's at three levels at this state and within the state also, the county or city. Does it does this location provide me access to other markets, which may be either in the vicinity or it may be across the pond? Does this location have the kind of talent that I'm seeking to employ for my business? Are they readily available? Maybe you want to be near a university so you can get access to apprentices and interns, and then they can become full-time employees if it works out. Having that convenience is important. The fact that it's not just about the customers but also partners. Are the supply chains and infrastructure robust here? And again, I said this before, and I'll reiterate that infrastructure is both physical and digital. There is a reason that there is a high concentration of tech companies in Silicon Valley. But what people often don't know is that there is a very high concentration of tech companies right where we are in the DC area. And uh, where Satya is from, and he mentioned Loudoun County, it's called Data Center Alley. It's the data center of the world. And unofficial numbers say that 70% of the world's internet flows through Northern Virginia. And, and therefore, it becomes a natural appeal for tech companies to locate there. So identifying hubs that are important to your industry, your business, and your company. I brought tech as an example, and everything is technology enabled now, even manufacturing. But look at life sciences. You would like to be in a hub for life sciences where there are researchers, there's availability of academic institutions and facilities, let's say, if you were in research and development. However, the situation is different if you're in life sciences, but on the pharma side, or as I was mentioning earlier, supplement side, right? Then it becomes more about the market and the distribution network and channel partners. So I would really encourage you to think of choosing a location based on first looking internally at the company and then looking at the plan that you have for your expansion and then doing research on potential locations and comparing them. Having come from the economic development environment in local government, um, definitely the business climate and incentives and support provided by the local authority is extremely important and should be high up on your decision-making tree for finding a location. And the incentives, again, don't just have to be cash. There is often a lot of support provided by local government institutions, which you would have otherwise paid for, which you can get by connecting with them. And of course, I can't emphasize enough that quality of life is important. And people can define quality of life differently as well. For business owners, it's where their employees would like to reside, right? For other people, quality of life is determined by whether there is a nice mix of different cultures, races, and ethnicities. For yet other people, it could be about where is the school district, highest ranked, right? So quality of life factors also need to be considered. They're soft factors, but they need to be considered when making a location decision for your business expansion. Speaking of that, I just brought up economic development organizations, and I'll be the first person to admit that I'm biased towards EDOs because I come from an EDO myself. And I know the hard work that these organizations do to attract business and to retain those businesses in their communities. So, an economic development organization could be at the city, county, state, or even federal level. If you've heard of U.S. Commercial Service, for example. They provide a lot of support services to businesses, including incentives, which are directly tied into the investment being made in their community and the jobs being created in their community. So when you look at the United States, first of all, it's geographically, land-wise, a huge country. And then there are 50 states, which means 50 different markets and 50 different regulations. But you can even get more granular and bring it down to the community level. Which county, which city, which town should I be in and where? So there's a lot of navigation in site selection. The local economic development authority can be your best friend. They often provide you access to data, to research findings, to an answer to many of your questions. And almost all of them do this for free. So it is a really valuable resource for businesses that are looking to expand, to connect with the local economic development organization and ask them about how they can support. The local EDO is the one that is consistently interacting with local businesses as well. So oftentimes they are able to report to you what businesses are thinking, where there are gaps, where is talent availability, and you know find the best recipe for success. Um, the one thing that I will say again from my own experience, local EDOs are all about themselves. They will only talk about what they have to offer. And that's where getting a professional to help you compare benefits across different jurisdictions to identify what works for your company becomes important. So site selectors are that team member that you can rely on to give you an unbiased view of how one jurisdiction or region compares to another. Satya and I reside in the same state. We are in Virginia. We are in Northern Virginia. He is in one county and I'm in the neighboring county. And both of us immediately know what our counties have in common and what are their unique appeals as well, right? So having been here and lived here, our perspective is a little bit different. And we try to provide that to businesses that we work with as well. So seeing that location is so important, and trying to discover the different um, incentives, advantages, support, and benefits that different regions have to provide. Just Be Global has actually launched a new series called the Market Access Series. It is a series where we try to bring companies and regional authorities, local governments, regions, and states on the same platform so that these regions can talk about what they have to offer businesses that are looking or considering to expand to their region. So, as a company, if you're interested in finding out about what growth hubs there are in the United States for your industry, do they offer any soft landing programs, especially for international businesses? Are they able to share market opportunities and partnerships? If this is of interest to you, I highly encourage you to join our Market Access series. It launches this fall. The QR code will lead you to a Google form where you just have to indicate your interest, and we will gauge whether it's beneficial to you to join this series or not. With that final plug, I am going to bring my presentation to a close, but I would love to hear some closing remarks from Satya first.
Yes, so as we already discussed, Jay, right? So anyone wanted to launch your business in US, so there are multiple factors that you need to consider. Your strength is your product or service and marketing, then all other matters with respect to your launching, incorporating the company, or taking care of the regular legal and compliance matters, or deciding on which location that you wanted to you wanted to have your business is something that probably you would recommend to consult the experienced consultants, so that will make things a lot easier. So yeah,
Thank you.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Satya, very much. And the idea behind doing this webinar is not obviously to give you all the answers, but it is to get you thinking about things that you may not have thought of before. So I'll be happy to provide this presentation for reference. Shikha will be so kind as to distribute it with the rest of you. And of course, if you need to reach me or Satya, you have our information up there. Uh, Thank you, Shikha. That brings me to the end of
Thank,
my presentation.
thank you, Juhi. Thank you, Satya. Thank you so much for the very informative session and the presentation. And now, going forward, we have ICICI Bank US team and we have senior officials, Mr. Kishan, Mr. Neeraj with us. I request Mr. Neeraj and Mr. Kishan to kindly take over. Shiva, please share the presentation.
Thank you, Shikha. Um, just a quick check. Shikha, am I audible? The audio is working fine.
Yes, yes. Yeah, audio is
Thank you.
fine.
Right. Yeah. So just a quick background on ICICI Bank. But before that, okay, quick background on us. My name is Kishan, and I lead the corporate banking team here at ICICI Bank's New York office. And I'm joined by Neeraj. He heads the remittance and the NRI engagement vertical. He'll come in on this presentation in a short while. So the idea was that we give a quick background on ICICI Bank's presence and work in the US and how we can support companies navigating, this corridor, which is the US India corridor that we're talking about. So thank you, Joey, for actually laying out the big context, the big picture on the US business landscape. It obviously makes my role, my job much easier coming in after that. Uh, Shiva, if you could move to the next slide. Uh, I see most people, are the people who joined in are mostly from people who from India. But just a quick background. So the brand is familiar to you, but I wanted to bring the global perspective of ICICI Bank on this webinar. ICICI Bank is one of the few Indian banks which actually has a large global presence. And you can see these are the countries that we are present in. In North America, we are in Canada, in the US. In Europe, we're based in UK and Germany. We have a significant presence in the Middle East and Southeast Asia as well, including China. And this is a reflection of our goal to follow two things. One, uh, in fact, just follow the trend that is the mobility of people and the mobility of capital. So India again trades or it has investments from these large uh, global capital blocks, or I would rather say trading blocks that India has. And these are the places where ICICI Bank has focused in a big way in terms of covering the space for the businesses that operate in these geographies. So each of these corridors is a significant business corridor for India, and that is what we aspire to cover and support companies doing business in this. Uh, yeah, we can move on to the next slide. Sure. Right. So coming to the bank's US presence. So the bank has been present in the US for about more than 2 decades now. We started in 2002 as a small representative office in New York City and converted to a full-scale corporate branch in 2008. The bank's business in the US has been largely focused on supporting companies as they also grew in the United States, companies from India, but also supporting US companies that actually moved from the US to India, setting up large operations as well as global capability centers. The idea was to have a relationship bridgehead here in New York City. In 2019, we started, and in fact, sometime before that as well, we started focusing big time on the NRIs in India, which is a large universe, and Neeraj will speak more of that uh, on that subject. In For the last 4 to 5 years, we have been focusing big time again on corporates in the corridor, both on from Indian side as well as the US side, and we are seeing a significant traction in terms of as because the universe has grown so large, the volume of companies doing business on both sides of the corridor is quite large and significant. In terms of our physical presence, we are based in New York City. This is our main branch that we are Neeraj and I are based at. And we have two representative offices today. One is in California, in the Bay Area, and one is in Texas, which is in the suburb of Dallas, which is Plano. We are in an expansion stage. We are expanding to other physical locations as well. We are opening new representative offices in Chicago, in New Jersey, and in Seattle. to cover our businesses on all these verticals. Sure, we'll move on to the next slide. Yep. In terms of our businesses, these are the 5 pillars of our ICICI Bank's business in the US, and I briefly touched upon some of them in my opening comments. So, supporting Indian companies in the US, these could be subsidiaries or joint ventures of Indian parents. Uh, these are companies, as Juhi mentioned, companies landing into the US, setting up new operations. We support them with banking operations in the US. uh, the product suite, I'll come to the product suite, what we do, what we can do, and what we cannot do in the next slide. Uh, but just to cover the other parts, we are the relationship head for the US companies in India. US investments in India, again, are on both sides, both companies looking in terms of market opportunity or talent. Uh, then again, the US funds and foreign portfolio investors, we act as a channel for movement of funds for investments into India, as well as providing custody services to them in India. Besides that, the NRI diaspora, which is the large NRI population, the non-resident Indian population in the US, we offer but limited services in terms of remittance platforms and other banking services for them. Besides servicing them for their regular India-linked banking services. So the whole idea is to facilitate business and services in the India-US corridor, and that is a very limited and a focused mandate for us as a bank. Shiva, I'll move on to the, yeah. In terms of the corporate banking products that we do, these are fairly standard across what we do with companies in India. These could be balance sheet support in terms of working capital loans. These could be long-term loans. Uh, these are operating accounts that we do. We do also take deposits, and we also offer treasury and FX solutions for companies looking to do derivative trade, etc. On cross-border trades, we facilitate cross-border transactions backed by LCs. We also have import and export factoring solutions for companies looking to set up a line for their trade to US companies, or from US companies to either on the import side or on the export side as such. I just wanted to highlight a point here that as Juhi also mentioned, licensing or and Satya also mentioned, licensing in the US uh, is a big aspect of how business is done. So the banking license again that ICICI Bank has allows us to have clients in all 50 states, and it is not a state specific license. So we have a pan country license as such. We are governed hence by the national banking regulator here, as well as the state regulators in each of these geographies that we operate in. Yeah. With that, I hand it over to Neeraj. Neeraj, if you take this up.
Hi, good morning, good evening, everyone. I'm Neeraj. I lead the retail business, which primarily comprises of our remittance business on both the sides, as well as our NRI portfolio. Just to give you a brief about, the NRI community in US, we are like 5.5 million strong community, which is like 1.5% of the population. And, but looking at the affluence of the community, that contributes to around 5% of the taxes in the US. So that's about the community, well scattered across East Coast, North and West Coast. Uh, we, recognize this requirement of this community that they would uh, start as normal job seekers, setting up their own businesses, then operating businesses in both the sectors, both on the India side and the US side. And that's why we formulated and we created products like Money to India, which helps transmission of money from US to India, and Money to World, which helps sending money from India to any part of the world. So we have solutions on for both sides. For smaller businesses or businesses which just start, we have solutions in Money to India, which is called Money to India Business suite, which helps businesses to send up to 400, $500,000 in one shot. And but the best part is the pricing, because when as a business owner you would like to keep your expenses low. So as we compare these pricing to with a US based bank, you save roughly one and a half rupee per dollar with us. So that's on the remittance side. We also help our clients, you know, with their own staffs. It might for their requirements in on the NRI accounts, for their requirements on loans in India, or anything which an NRI would require. We are one stop shop. Being present in New York, California, Texas, and now setting up in Chicago and Seattle gives us access to 60 to 70% of the diaspora. And for the diaspora also, it's very convenient. And for businesses like yours, it's convenient because we operate across 4 time zones, which again, gives liberty for any business owner, whether they are based in India or in US. When they're working in India US sector, they can reach out to any of our offices at any given point of time, because that they'll be operational in some point of time, in some business hours at a particular time. So that's on this. Yeah, we can move to the next slide. These are contact details of our New York branch and our representative offices in California and Texas. In December, our offices in New Jersey, Illinois, Chicago will be operational, and we look at setting up our Seattle office in early next year. So that's on the retail side of the business. Thank you, Kishan.
Thank you, Neeraj. So that's broadly the brief that we wanted to cover from ICICI US side. Shikha, over to you, and we can any questions, any queries that are there, we can take them.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Kishan, Mr. Neeraj, for that a very informative address with the perspective of banking perspective. So I think moving forward with the question answers, I'll just read the questions and we'll request the speakers to address. One question is, hi all, how is the current situation reflecting on virtual-based education system now that a lot of virtual options are available globally? Is that sort of business safe at the moment? Sorry, I think,
I can take that.
is this related? Yeah, please.
I'm not exactly sure whether, what the question is in terms of whether there's an opportunity in this business. I'm going to say yes. There's a lot of opportunity in ed tech in general. And if you're already familiar with the virtual environment, there are a lot of plugins that are sought by traditional universities to take their own curriculum global through virtual platforms. So technology enabled virtual education is still very much in the running. That's how I would address that, Shikha.
Yeah, thank you. So next question is how to solve for cases where we have subsidiary in USA for catering to US market, and we have to stock significant in for the new market there, and we have to book profit in Indian holding company through product, though product is not ultimately sold.
Yeah, I can
This
take
is from
this.
Mr. Vinod. Yeah.
Sure, Shikha. I can take this one. So
Yeah,
this is a
please.
bit of challenging, and it's a specific question, Shikha. So if Vinod can reach out to me separately, I need more details to answer this.
Sure. So the second question is also from Mr. Vinod, how to give benefit to US employees in 100% subsidiary of India. Can we give the stock options in US subsidiary? What are the structure recommended in this case?
Yeah, so I can take this question as well. If we have India holding company and US as a subsidiary company, if we have a stock option plan in India entity, you can extend the same stock option plan to US employees also. There is some agreements that needs to be entered between US and India entity. It's called a recharge agreement, and other aspects like a taxation that we need to consider. And again, it's a very detailed topic, but overall, yes, this is possible to answer the question, Shah.
Okay, thank you. So next question is also from Mr. Vinod. In case we want to acquire the company in USA through our subsidiary in USA, whether doing BTA without sales tax is allowed to India?
So certainly sales tax is not in the question in this case. So you can acquire a company using your US subsidiary, and it will stay within the US itself. So there won't be any tax implication as such for the acquisition part. Of course, the other side is when you sell it. If someone sell it, then capital gains taxes. The seller will have a capital gains tax, but in case of purchase, there won't be any sales tax, any income tax, or any capital gains tax on that. But again, I mean, I need to understand, get more details to give specific answer for this.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Satya. So I request Mr. Vinod to you can write to directly to Mr. Satya. We'll be circulating the contact details of the speakers, or you can share your detailed problem with me, and I can forward. So we can connect. Next question is from Ms. Purvi. She's our executive council member. The question is, would not the relation between the entities have an impact on the movement of staff from India? Would not the relation
I
between
just,
the entities have an... Yeah, please.
no, I just want to say, and Satya might have an answer for this, but I want to say that I wouldn't dare to give Purvi an answer to a question where she has all of the expertise. So with that, Satya.
Yeah.
Right. So having relationship between US and India entity is recommended, especially because of US visa regulations. So you can move India employees to US with common ownership if the entities has common ownership on L1 visa. So that is one advantage that I would see.
Okay, thank you. Next question is, after how many years of history do American banks be willing to provide lines of credit? If I can request Mr. Neeraj.
Yeah, I'll take that. There's no specific, I wouldn't say there is no specific timeline as such on this, but it is generally a bit of a constraint to obtain a credit line, when you've initially landed. The kind of solution that, for example, ICICI Bank offers in this regard is that we are able to understand you in India. The franchise in India understands you well. So what for a lot of companies who have set up new operations, we are able to extend the credit line with an India comfort, depending on a guarantee or a standby line of credit that is established from India to the US. So we have seen companies using either their own funds, or if there is a need for fund, or there is a constraint on moving funds across borders, these are solutions that work better.
Can I please add to that? And,
Yeah.
ICICI brings
Please.
a great advantage having presence in both markets for sure. But just to add, historically, I've seen companies also do well with smaller banks, local banks, because they have a relationship that's built with them. So a lot of it is based on these people work in the same community as you. They've seen you in action. They know that your business exists. And sometimes that becomes a reason for reducing the timelines that Kishan was talking about. There's no set time, but maybe you can build that trust and relationship. Sorry, there's some background noise.
Yeah, okay.
That's
Thank
it
you.
from me, Shikha. Yeah.
So, yeah. So next question is from Ms. Kumu Gupta. She's a very esteemed of Indo-American Chamber of Commerce, and she's in Boston, and uh, she's also a Guinness World Record holder for Microsoft Women in Cloud. So I'm happy to read her questions. She is mentioning ICCNY New York, NRI person contact. So I think she's asking
So I
for
would be the
this,
single,
or
yeah. Yeah,
yes,
so in
yes,
case,
please.
Shika, you can share my contact details with Mrs. Kumugupta, and I can connect
Sure.
with her offline,
Fine.
looking at her requirement. And you can share her contact details with me also. So more than happy to assist her.
Sure. Sure, Mr. Neeraj. Thank you. So next question is Devyani. I do have company in US and currently banking with Chase Bank, and I import dollars in India as part of MT export services. Here in India, I am banking with ICICI current account. would like to know what would it take to open an account in US for my current company. Okay.
So
Yeah,
we can speak with Devyani and try and understand, but she can write to us about her business, and we'll get in touch with her and try to understand and offer solutions which we have for her line of business.
sure, sure.
But yeah,
So
she can,
Devyani,
to a short answer, yes, they can set up an account with us in US.
sure, thank you. So Devyani will bring the details of the speaker, or I'll share with you separately, and then you can get in touch, Mr. Neeraj. Naveen Sehgal. Mr. Neeraj, I had like to know, can a US company that is a separate legal entity, not a subsidiary of an Indian firm, directly open a bank account in New York?
Yeah,
Uh,
Kishan, you will.
yeah, I'll take that. While technically that is possible, our overall business mandate is to have relationships across in both geographies. Uh, the idea is that we have that relationship connect in both geographies. There are certain restrictions in terms of what is the opening deposit that you would require for a company that is not a subsidiary of which will be in effect classified as a US company. So the opening deposit requirement will be higher for a US company. Uh, I can get into the specifics of this and we can connect offline for this.
Okay, thank you. So next question is from Ms. Jyoti Sethi. This is for Juhi. What are the current trends of investment in the US?
So if the question is about business investment, I think AI is king these days, and that's the case everywhere. So AI-enabled solutions are highly sought after in the United States. In addition, because of the current administration's preferences and priorities, there is a lot of reshoring and onshoring of industries, which includes traditional manufacturing industries. But I would say that it's not the traditional model of having a factory. They are automated manufacturing concerns that we have across industries that are gaining popularity in the United States. Additionally, I'll say in the energy industry, battery manufacturing, semiconductors, these are the areas where we are seeing a lot of interest in the US market.
Okay, thank you. Next question is from Aditi. What are the most common mistakes companies make when entering the US market, and how can they be avoided?
I would say there's just one mistake that should be avoided, and that probably leads to other mistakes if it's made, and that is not doing your homework before you start. That market research is extremely important for companies before they choose to expand. Oftentimes, one gets carried away because someone you know, maybe your relative is doing really well in New Jersey, so it feels like I should be doing the same, but it's not that simple. And I would urge every company to do their own due diligence, do a lot of research before they kind of pursue an opportunity that seems very attractive and reachable on the outside. Thank you.
Okay, thank
So, Sika, I
you.
will add
Next
two
question
more
is by,
points.
yes, yeah, please. Yeah, please, Satya.
So to Aditi's question, right? So there are two major, common mistakes that companies do. What in our experience, that is what we notice. One is after you decide to move to US and after you incorporate the entity. So a lot of you can incorporate the entity here in US and take tax number, open bank account, and start doing operations. Anything can be done. But from India point of view, if the shareholder is in India, whether it is in a company or individual, you need to do ODI transfer to US in order for India to recognize your shareholdership in US entity. So that is one common mistake. A lot of companies, they start have incorporating the company in US, start doing operations also, but after 2-3 years also, they didn't even realize that the ODI transfer is not done. Without that, India doesn't recognize. Tomorrow, if you want to sell the company, then you cannot move your funds back to India without ODI transfer. Probably Kishan or Neeraj can give more details on that. So that is one. And the second one is if it is a product company, Then taking care of the sales tax complaints in each of the states. That is one more common mistake that companies do. So these are comments from my side.
Thank you, Satya.
Yeah.
So next question is from Mr. Aditya Madgam. He's the past chairman of APNTS branch. Good evening from Hyderabad. My son residing in Minnesota holds a NRI account in ICICI Bank, Hyderabad Bank. If he wants to use ICICI's money to India facility, does he have to open an account in the US as well? This is by Mr.
So
Aditya.
I'll answer that. Mr. Aditya, ICICI Bank's Money to India, Money to World are like free to use platforms. So Money to India enables sending currency from USD to Indian rupees from any bank account to any bank account in India. So they don't have to open an account with us in US. They can link their existing account and the money can be transferred to their account back in India.
Okay, thank you. So I think, Mr. Nod, you have mentioned about the sales tax is chargeable in USA as per state.
I think, Sika, this is follow-up to the previous question.
Okay,
I need to
okay,
get
fine.
more details on that. So
Yeah. So next
then-
question is from Mr. Vikram Javeri. Need to discuss with ICICI Bank. Need them to set up a line of credit between OMND
One of their US
of our.
client and
Oh,
yeah, I think you'll have to share Kishan's and my contact details with Mr. Javeri so we can set up, because it'll require discussion on understanding both the entities and relationships.
okay. Okay. So basically, we'll be sharing the recording of this session with the members. So can we share your email IDs and your names with them?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that is
Yeah, you
fine.
can share
Okay. Yeah.
mine and Kishan's email ID and phone numbers as well with the clients. There's no problem.
Right. Okay, thank you. So, next from Mr. Aditi, for startups and mid-sized firms, what are the key regulatory or compliance areas to focus on during the initial phase of US expansion?
So I will take this up. So as far as regulatory or compliance areas, it all depending on the operations of the business. So if at a very broad level, there are four kind of regulatory requirements at a federal level, state level, city and county level, and secretary of state level. That is again at the state level. So US has compliance requirement, regulatory requirement in all 50 states, 3,000 plus counties, and 19,000 plus cities. So it's a regulatory maze, but but all may not be applicable for your business. So you need, based on your operations, if you are product company, then certain kind of compliances are applicable. If it is a service company, there are certain other kind of compliances that are applicable. So it all depending on the nature of business, at what stage that you are into, and if you have employees or not. If you have employees, then altogether it is a different level of regulatory requirements. So multiple factors that we need to consider. So again, we can answer specific questions of the attendees after knowing their requirements in detail.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next question is from Mr. Mohan. I joined late. Is there a possibility to get the link of recording? Yes, we'll be sharing the link of with the members and non-members in case if you have registered. So we have your email ID. We'll share that with you. Thank you. So again, Ms. Purvi, thank you. I thought it was important for members to consider this. Appreciate Satya. Thank you, madam. Next question is from Mr. Abhishek Gurgaon. What is the possibility of HRIRE Act that is recommended by Trump advisors? And I am CA in India, and if I have to start BATF services, how can I get clients on board related to BTF? Is there any community I would like to join?
So first part probably I can answer. So this HIRE Act is recently introduced in the Senate. It's not, a lot of bills are introduced every year, every session. So it's not till the time it is both house pass the regulation and gets president approval, then only it will come into effect. All these are in the news, so we need not consider at this point of time.
Right.
The second part I did not understand
Next
BATF.
one is, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, thank you, Satya. So next question is by Mr. Mohan. We have registered our company for our services. Can we use the same company ad with imports and exports as part of our business, or do we need to register a new company?
okay, manpower service. There are two ways of doing this. Either you have a branch if you don't want to incorporate a company in US, or incorporate a company. Always incorporating a company is recommended from the risk point of view. If at all, if you operate through branch, then all the risks that is associated with your business, US business, it will pass on to your India entity, which probably that is something that anybody wanted to avoid. So incorporating new company is something that I would recommend.
Satya, I do think the question is about if their company is registered as a manpower services company, do they have to make a new company for export-import business, or can they do it under
Oh,
the
so
same?
that's okay. Okay, sorry, I misunderstood that one. Again, yeah, in US, as long as you do a legal business, then within the same entity you can do a number of businesses. That is not there is no restriction with that. But again, from a legal point of view, risk liability point of view, one business and another business has to be separated. That's what we would recommend. If you have some litigation in one business, it should not impact the other business. So purely from a liability or risk point of view, having different business in different entities is something that we recommend always. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next question from Ms. Aditi. How should Indian prioritize between building a local presence, forming partnerships, or leveraging digital first strategies when entering in the US market?
So I can take that. I think all three are extremely important. And if I may make your life more complicated, equally important in the US. If you intend to expand to the US and want to get success quickly, localization is a great way to do it. So establishing your local presence. And there are a lot of ways to establish the local presence, not just by being engaged in the community, but joining your local associations, chambers, and interacting with people through events is perhaps the fastest way to get known in the community and get your feet wet. And that actually leads to forming partnerships. So you have to be out and about to be able to form those partnerships. And I will always recommend um, uh, having a digital strategy as supportive in nature, since digital only strategies perhaps will not guarantee success. But if you have a local presence within your budgeted means and you have a digital strategy to supplement your local presence, that would be a winning combination.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Next, Mr. Mohan mentioned that our register office is in Minnesota.
I think
Okay.
we already answered this.
Yeah. So Ms. Devyani mentioned, and Mr. Vikram mentioned that he needs the contact detail of Mr. Neeraj and Mr. Kishan. Yeah, we'll be circulating the contact details of all the speakers. So you can directly contact them on the email or phone call. Can I open an account in US sitting in India or need a director in USA?
I'm
Kishan?
assuming the question. Yeah, I'm assuming the question is for a US entity. Is that the question?
I just repeat, can I open an account in USA sitting in India or need a director? When he's saying director, I think he's saying for the
Okay.
entity. I
So
need a
I think
director in
that
USA.
that's the case. So yes, the account can be opened with the directors being in India. The KYC for them would be carried forward from India to the US.
Thank you. The next question is from Mr. Sai. Dear team, firstly, thank you for hosting such a valuable session. My question is, as we are an AI-based hospitality company providing services for hostels, hotels, and dorms, will be global and FinStack also support us in connecting with potential clients in the US. In other words, sir, we'll be circulating the contact details. You can directly get in touch with me and Ms. Satya. What is the role of Just Be Global in the entire journey of investment? Yeah, Ms. Juhi.
Sure. Yeah, happy to take that. So, we see ourselves as being your first stop when you do US expansion, and your needs might be very diverse at that point. B Global services are around market entry strategy, go to market strategy, site selection, and business development support. When it comes to incorporation, we work with partners like Satya to help you establish your legal entity. If you need to get in touch with a lawyer for immigration or incorporation purposes or IP needs, we will connect you to those lawyers as well. So what we want to claim is that come to us first. We can help you with whatever needs you have. If we don't have an answer for you, we will find it for you. So our services are to ease your global landing, to provide that soft landing support that you might need in your business investment journey.
Okay, thank you. Next question by Mr. Mohan. We are aiming to export industry from Middle East to USA. We don't have branch office. Can we remotely invoice the US customer?
Yes, you can do it again. So we need to consider few other complaints related matters. Again, he can reach out to us.
Right. Okay, thank you. Mr. Abhishek mentioned BATF bookkeeping, accounting, taxation, and financial related services. I think we have already discussed this one. If I have to start bookkeeping, accounting, taxation, yeah, Mr. Abhishek, we'll be sharing the details. You can discuss this one with Mr. Satya. Then we have one from Mr. Thank you for considering my question and getting us the answers. You are managing the webinar and exchange. Shikhar, thank you for the speakers, for their expert advice. Super. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mohan. We are happy that you liked the webinar, and we are grateful to the speakers for all their information and everything. Finished with the questions. I really, yeah.
Can I just say something very general, but related to what Abhishek is asking? Any company that enters a new market, right? When you're trying to find clients, obviously you're coming with the confidence that you have a good product and that there's a need in the market. So a lot of preparatory work before you actually take the leap. And then this is something I always say about the United States, that there is a lot of potential and opportunity here, but there is a lot of competition as well. And let's not kid ourselves into believing that, just because your product is solid, that it will take off. The market is super saturated, and it takes a lot of hard work and investment of time and effort, not just money, into marketing yourself, exposing yourself, and getting yourself out there. That's another thing that's very important in the US. We use a term called tooting your own horn. If you don't tell people about yourself, they're not going to know. So you really have to get out there, be in the community, and make sure you're visible and exposed and engage with other businesses to land those clients.
Thank you, Juhi. Thank you so much. I thank each and every buddy, all the speakers of this wonderful session. I think we have finished all the questions, everything, and we have clarified to the members that we'll be circulating Juhi's presentation and contact details of all our speakers. So in case if you need anything else, please write to me, and we'll be definitely happy to serve our members from Pan India. So we also thank our members for joining from all over India for this session. And pleasure to give the vote of thanks for concluding this program. On behalf of Indo-American Chamber of Commerce, Uttar Pradesh and